Greetings. Here we are again. Yeah, it's just another day of randomness. Well, and maybe a little bit about lilikoi and neighbors. Yeah, so I got up this morning. I made myself a waffle, smothered in fresh ripe papaya, with a little bit of Canadian maple syrup. I understand the Canadians had to tap into the strategic maple syrup reserve due to COVID. You know, we have petroleum reserves. The Canadians have maple syrup reserves. Boy, they got a mess up there right now with them truck drivers, I'll tell you that. They're blocking the bridges and everything. Chances are it's going to spread over the border. You watch. Anyway, I won't have to worry about it. You cannot drive a truck from Canada to here. So only the goods that were on the maple syrup that was on those trucks will not get into the cargo containers and come forward. Oh no, I'm going to have to use yacon or something else for syrup. Sugar cane, yeah. Oh well. So Ellen's still in California. She called last night after I was, passed out, sound asleep, telling me that a box I'd sent had got there. I didn't even remember sending it, so yeah. So then this morning, after breakfast, it's that usual time when Ellen would get up and she'd go, "Gracie, come on, let's get the paper." So I've been trying to keep Gracie on her program. I don't want her sloughing on her job. She really enjoys having work to do around here. It's really true. The cat would feel useless if it didn't have things that we have it do every day. And one of them is she goes to the curb with Ellen to get the newspaper. She just loves it. Tail straight up, bobbing along. She says, it's so much fun. I just love getting the newspaper every day. Gives her something to do as a reason for being, one of the viewers was asking me, does she carry it in her teeth? No, she doesn't. No, it's not a fight-o-fetch thing. It's, she just goes out there with Ellen. She watches the cars. She'll sniff at the gate to see if anything had tried to get in last night, make sure everything's all right, kind of watch over the whole thing, and then come on back. So it's just a walk out, a walk back, But she likes it. And so I did that this morning. As I was stepping back with Gracie, I heard gravel in the driveway behind me. I said, oh boy, sounds to me like maybe I got customers. I kind of turned around a little bit and I see it's my neighbor John. That's who it was. I have the same neighbor on both sides of me, both to the north and to the south here. Got the same neighbor. At one time, all three of these parcels here, to the south, this one I'm living on, and the one to the north, they were all owned by the same man, Henry Cruz. His grandfather had invested in all this land back in the 1930s, and he owned it all. And when he was getting ready to retire, he started to sell it off. He didn't need it anymore, and so he figured he wanted some money for retirement. And that's how I got my place, and that is also how the place to the north was sold. Well, since I've had this place, I have been through already numerous neighbors on both sides. Also, numerous neighbors to the rear, to the west over here too. Yeah, we got at least one new house that wasn't there when I moved in. It was just all jungle. That's been built up nice, too. It's built up nice. So, after Henry sold off all the property, but the one he was living on, then his wife passed away, and that just killed him, man. He was gone in no time. This is how I lose probably most of my neighbors. I watch the ambulance come, and they take them away. Most of my neighbors in California and here, they seem like I lose them due to old age. Sure am glad I'm a young kid. I'll be around a while. Otherwise, they move off, And the one that was to the south over here, the First guy who bought it from Henry, Mark, he was a merchant marine, and I don't know if he quite understood what he was getting into, but he was a pretty good guy. His dog was real nice, and we got along all right. He was fine. But then he had some bad experiences here. He didn't like what was going on, decided he's going to sell out. So he sold the property out, and he left. The guy he sold it to jacked him around, never made a payment. He was a real mess. I'd have loved to got him out of there. It took a lawyer to get the guy out. They got him out, and I kind of space a little bit right now as far as how many of them have been through over there, but there were at least two, I think, before John, who now owns the property, acquired the property. He, at the time, was using the house out front as a vacation spot, and the one in back, he was renting it to 2 levels. Now all 3 places next door are getting rented, and he bought the one over here. He just left. They were here for some vacation time. He uses the south building as a vacation house. Anyway, it's one of the things. There's a lot of things you can control. Yeah, you can control what goes on in your own house, what goes on in your garden, you can control an awful lot of things, I guess, but controlling what happens with neighbors is an impossibility, because even if they pick a neighbor to begin with that seems like they're really good people, well, there's no guarantee they're going to be there, in the long run, and so things keep changing. I'm still here, but everything on both sides of me just keeps changing. Right now it's stable. John's got both parcels. He's a decent guy. I think he's older than me. He must be in his 70s, but he runs Boston Marathon. He's always out here running down the highway and stuff. I hope the heck you don't get run over around here, because we don't have sidewalks or any safe places to run, really. But yeah, so anyway, he decided on the way out of town, he was finally going to stop by and say, "Oh, hi, Bill, what's going on?" They were on the way to the airport. Well, it's been under my collar and worse. The problem when you got neighbors that live out of state, they're really very much out of touch, too, with what really goes on here in the neighborhood and so on. These are decent folks. I have nothing bad to say about them, really, at all, except that'd be the second time I've addressed the fact that they, on both sides, are infested with colonies of little fire ant. I don't know how they got them in there, but they did, and they have some big old colonies over there. I don't have them here. I can't have them here because we sell produce, we sell nursery stock. I can't have fire ants. And so I am forever battling them back to the boundaries. So I have to treat the perimeter of the property. Laura, who was in the rear here, who built a new house, she was using Amdro, and she was taking care of fire ants. But I don't know, she and her husband apparently got into it. They don't live together anymore, and he's living back there. I have no idea what he intends to do as far as that's concerned. But for now, I don't have fire ants coming in much from the west, because they tend to take care of them. But man, they got just bitten up on both sides over here. They still hadn't done nothing about it, so I finally addressed it. I said, "Look, man, I keep beating these back to the fence line, but it's not doing me any good because the colonies are on your sides of the fence. Have you guys been bit by them?" Yeah. That's kind of amazing that somebody could be stung by these things and not have gotten up and done something about it. That to me is really extraordinary. So, if you got out-of-state owners, then you get this remote out-of-state, out-of-mind situation where they're really not on top of the problems. Or, I hear it from people here all the time, a lot. Oh, well, there's nothing you can do about fire ants. Oh, boy. Well, someone's got to do something about it. And that fatalism that I hear from people, where really I think it's just laziness. They don't want to mess with it because they haven't got stung till they're like a raspberry by the things yet, apparently. But they weren't here when we first bought the property. Again, it's another one of the things that gets imported to the island. And if we had more people diligent about trying to control the colonies, we wouldn't have such a problem. But I hated it, but it was the first and the last thing I had to say to them on the way out of town. Please do something about the fire ants. Please. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. I don't know, I'd cross the fence and I'd take care of it for him, but it's his responsibility. And the materials are expensive. Tango is not cheap. On the county recommendation, when we go after this critter, we start with an insect growth regulator. We do not start with a poison or a bait. They're smarter than that, and so we coat the tree trunks with an insect growth regulator that is mixed with peanut butter, oil, and a fixative like xanthan gum and some water, and put it on with a sprayer and glue that stuff down to the tree trunks because fire ants are up in the trees mostly, and they eat it. They take it back to the colony and they feed it to everybody. Well, since it's a growth regulator, the juveniles don't mature. So the colony basically slowly dies away because it's unable to reproduce. After you do that for a while, then the county recommends actually using a bait with Amdro, or some other similar type baits labeled for little fire ant. Yeah, I have a hard time understanding, really, why people are not a lot more aggressive about this critter because, it's a pain. Oh, God, it hurts. If I go out near the boundary lines on my property, like I'm going to go harvest some bananas, I wish I didn't have a really beautiful clump of apple bananas along the fence line next to the neighbor here. Because they like the bananas. They climb out of his colony, get up into my stalks, and they're up there, and I go swinging at them with a machete to get myself some fruit, and they go right down my collar. I tend to wear a great big wide brim straw hat when I go to harvest fruit or work under the trees along the edges because then they fall on the brim rather than in my collar, and usually they fall off rather than getting in my clothes. But last time I harvested bananas, I don't know how I did it, but I had one go up my sleeve, bit me in the elbow. Yeah, well, there's some randomness on fire ants. They are controllable. We do not have them in this property, even though the neighbors' properties are loaded with them. But that's because we're diligent, Oh, and then I went out in the garden today, and I had lilikoi, Jamaican lilikoi. That's the passion fruit from Jamaica, the soft orange one, sweet. And then I also had my hybrid lilikoi, both together on the patch of fence over here between a few citrus trees. Well, the lilikoi was there first. The citrus trees came later. It became an unbearable mess. Oh, God, the lilikoi kept going up in my citrus. I finally moved some cuttings of lilikoi to a different spot, a different type of way of dealing with them, and went in this morning and cut everything down, took it all out, pulled the fence out of there, did pretty good work. Now, in the process, while I was working, I found a frog I have never seen before. I don't know what kind of frog this was. It obviously seemed to be some sort of tree frog, but it was heavily spotted like a leopard. I haven't seen this frog. I'm going to have to go try to look it up. I have a feeling we have another invader. Perhaps it's been here a while and it's quieter than the coqui, and so we haven't noticed it. I don't know. I hadn't seen anything like this till this morning. Yesterday I went out in between the rain showers and I planted a lot of green beans. Yep, I rounded up some poles and drove them into the ground, went back and cut fresh bamboo poles, took the propagation pieces, and I made propagation of Himalayan purple stripe bamboo. I know there's been folks asking me for that. I never have enough of it. Well, I have a whole lot I propagated now, and then I took the poles. I used some of them to hold up the beans. I have Polomoho going out there, and I also have Vortex. Again, Vortex being my all-time favorite bean on earth. They don't get better. Johnny Selected Seeds is the source. If you're here on the island and you want Polomoho, that's University of Hawaii, the seed bank program. They have that one. Polomoho is a very successful green bean here. It resists funguses and it resists nematodes. We have a hard time growing a simple crop like a green bean on the island. It's not easy, and my favorite ones don't grow very well. I'm trying again. I am not going to give up on Vortex yet. We keep at it. But yeah, so we did that. I got lettuce planted, romaines in tubs over here. Yeah, here we got some coastal gem romaine lettuce, and in the center is a new taro. Kahoa brought me a mana ulu. This one supposedly very easy to make poi out of. Has the color of ulu, is yellowish. This is a real good one, so I'm starting with it. Here's the last crop of lettuce I planted. It's just about ready to pick. Oh boy, and Ellen's in California. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this lettuce, but anyway, beets having no lettuce. Well, the Copenhagen Market cabbage, just a classic old-time open pollinated cabbage, is getting very, very close to being picked here. It's doing really good. And I'm having a nice crop of onions and leeks. They look super next to it. Well, here I planted another crop of broccoli and a little bit more cabbage on the far end. And over here are pole beans I put in yesterday. Looking forward to some green beans. Over there's the big mess I made this morning. Took that fence down, chopped up all them lilikoi, made mulch out of them for my citrus. There you have it. A little of this and a little of that, you know. Nothing particular. Sun's coming out today. The rain stopped. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day today. Aloha. Y'all hang loose.